Welcome to the Washington State Human Rights Commission meeting for April. I am Chair Deborah Cook, and we will follow the agenda that has been proposed for this meeting. So we will first begin with the roll call, and the roll will be called of the commissioners, staff, and known guests. And then when those are completed, we're going to ask anyone who is here from the public to also at that point identify themselves for the record, please. So if you'll go ahead with the call of the roll.
Yes, Chair Deborah Cook.
Present.
Commissioner Guadalupe Gamboa.
Present.
Commissioner James Moore.
Present.
And I don't know if Commissioner Jeff Spey had a moment to join us. Okay. Interim Director Cheryl Strobert.
Present.
Assistant Attorney General Kristen Lamson.
Present.
And anyone else that's on the line who'd like to identify themselves, please.
Garcia, Customer
Marguerite
Service.
Richard.
Honorable Michael Fuller,
Alex Zimmerman.
Bonnie Yorzak.
There was one name that was a little muffled and I couldn't make it out. I think it was Michael.
Honorable Michael Fuller, Sui Juris.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Excuse me. The next item on our agenda is approval of the minutes for the meeting of March 24th.
This is Commissioner Gamboa. I move that the minutes be approved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Commissioner Moore, I second.
Thank you very much. Is there any discussion of the minutes? Hearing none, I would ask that all in favor of approving the minutes for March 24th, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And any opposed? Great. All right, our next item is the case closures. There are some cases that have been withdrawn. Could those be read for the record, please?
Yes, Sanaim Noble versus Snow Isle Library and Beish versus Seattle Children's Hospital. Those two cases have been pulled. There were a couple of revisions and corrections to a few other cases. That was Mogan versus Catholic Charities. There was a correction to the date of filing on the finding. And Merkley versus Fiber. There was some additional information added to the memo regarding the specific alleged disability. And Heiner versus AMPACC Law Group, the closure documents were revised.
All right, thank you. All right. Are there any questions regarding the cases?
No.
Thank you. Hearing none. Yeah, hearing none, I would accept a motion to accept the cases, to approve the cases as revised.
I move to approve the cases as revised.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. All right. All in favor of approving the cases as revised, please say aye.
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 And any opposed? Thank you. All right. So the next item on our agenda is our first executive director report from Cheryl Strobert, who is our acting executive director. And welcome, Cheryl, to your official spot. And do you want to give us an update?
Sure. Thank you very much. Yeah, I wanted to go over a couple of items just to keep you apprised of what's going on our day-to-day basis. With regard to the budget, we do have some cost savings, and so we're looking at opportunities to, utilize that money in a way that would be helpful for the agency overall. Additionally, you may recall that Sharon mentioned that we were given additional FTEs by the legislature, And so we are going to be recruiting for a couple of positions. One is going to be for a senior staff member to supervise intake, and the other is to replace an administrative staff person that left a while ago. So Deborah and I have been working with DESHR to get the needed paperwork together and to get those recruitments out, and hopefully that will happen next week. So that's what we're doing there. Additionally, we have been going through an audit through the state auditor's office, and it's the routine audit that they do every couple of years. And because of COVID, they did not get out, I guess, as often as they were before. So it's covering a fairly, large span of time. And so we've been meeting periodically with them, and we expect that the final exit meeting will take place at the end of May. And at that time, they'll give us information about any possible deficiencies we may have and all of that kind of thing. And I'll share that with you, at that time.
right.
Let's see. We're also going to be having an all-staff meeting, and that's coming up in May 12th, actually, I think is the date that we saved the date for. And so it's been a little while since we've had one, but we're going to have discussions at that time about returning to the office, as many agencies have been doing that to varying degrees throughout the state, but it clearly is happening. And so we're going to be doing the same very gradually. The expectation will be that one additional day be spent in the office, and we're going to have a schedule so that, we don't have too many people in at the same time, but making sure that we do cover what we need to at that particular point in time. The goal is to have, because we told staff that we give it a month's notice, and so the goal would be to have this implemented by June 13th. Let's see, we're also going to have discussion at the all staff regarding the diversity, equity, and inclusion plan, and our creation of a DEI committee. That's one of the provisions required by the Governor's Executive Order 2202, as well as the State HR Directive of 20-02. And so that's one piece. And so we'll be, tapping staff to, be involved in that committee. And then we're also going to have some gender discrimination training at the all staff. It's always good to have some training there, and we're looking forward to, coming together and seeing how everyone is and moving forward. I'm going to update you just briefly on our two contracts, the EEOC contract and the HUD contract. We do have, we're at about 175. Actually, it's probably more like 200, given today's cases closures, as far as fulfilling our contract of 324 cases by the end of September. And we're doing really well with HUD. As of today, it looks like we'll have about 119 cases closed, and that one ends in June of 2020. So, we're hopeful to be successful in all of our contractual endeavors. Are there any questions? Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah. How does gender discrimination differ from sex discrimination?
Gender discrimination is a part of sex discrimination and vice versa. It's just regarding sex discrimination has, we're dealing with sexual harassment, different treatment, all of those kinds of things. And gender discrimination comes in. Sometimes you'll see them interchanged when you look online and you go through the EEOC site. And so I think it's a bit broader because it includes issues involving LGBT issues as well as, sexual harassment, they all do, but we're going to be very inclusive in terms of how we present the information at our training.
Okay. Any additional questions? All right, thank you so much. That's great. That's a lot of exciting things happening, particularly around the new staff and all of that, and the possibility of coming back to the office, which I know creates its own challenges, and some people have liked working remotely, and some people have not, and some tasks work well remotely, and some have not. So it is a really big challenge that everyone is facing, and so I'm excited to see the commission making progress about all of that. All right, the next item on our agenda is the executive director recruitment process. So where we are with that is that we have continued to keep the recruitment open. The recruitment has just closed again as of last week. So right this moment, it is closed. We decided, Cheryl and I in consultation, because the funds were available and because we really do need some help, we solicited an external recruiter to give us a little bit of marketing assistance. And they have a pretty aggressive track record with the state and with others. And so we did ask them to assist us with marketing the position. They have done so. They've stopped this moment because the position closed again, but they have tried to do that for us. We have no new applicants. The feedback that they have received pretty consistently from people who might potentially be candidates is that the salary is too low. That's always a challenge in state government. The salaries are in a band range, and they generally do not want to hire people at the very top of the range because it gives them sort of nowhere to go. So Cheryl and I are not really sure that we have a lot of leverage to change the salary at this time. So what I proposed for today is that after we complete the business of the meeting, that the commissioners and relevant staff, which would be our AG and Cheryl, go into executive session for the specific purpose of discussing once again the candidates who have been interviewed, the candidate who has received a second interview, and determining whether we want to review the qualifications of any of those candidates, whether we want staff to explore what if any raise we could provide, or whether it would be enough to make any difference, and so those things, the piece about the raise and all, we would discuss back here in our regular session, but specifically in executive session, we will talk for a few minutes again about the candidates that we have, because as it stands right now, we do not have additional candidates. So we need to definitely be clear as to whether we need more or we don't need more. So that is my hope, and that we can provide some direction around this. I also extended Cheryl's appointment through June, so that we do have a little bit more time to work on all these things, because no matter what we do, if we hire someone, they undoubtedly have to have an opportunity to give notice or relocate or do something. So all those things. So we have to allow for all that. So it's possible that we may need to extend Cheryl's acting appointment even a bit beyond June. But we want to respect her desire to retire, and she's been very gracious to be willing to continue and to extend that, and doesn't want that to get in the way. And I appreciate that so very much. But at the same time, we have to know that we're actually getting somewhere. So, so it is a real challenge. And so that is what I am proposing. And I don't expect our executive session when we do it to be extremely long. So that is what I plan for. All right. So do we have any commissioner reporting for today?
I do not have anything to report. This is Jim Moore.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I don't either.
All
Deborah.
right. Great. Thank you so much. All right. Then let's have our Attorney General's office update, please.
Sure. Good morning. Thank you, Chair Cook, and good morning to everyone else. I normally don't have a lot to say, but I actually have a couple of things this morning. So I do have 2 case updates from our Civil Rights Division that I'll share with you. And then I also wanted to spend a couple minutes to give you an update on some recent legislation that impacts the Open Public Meetings Act. So I'll just give you a couple of highlights so that you're aware of that. The first case that I want to share with you and an update is the Human Rights Commission versus Gomez Lopez. And this was a housing discrimination case that was filed in Yakima County Superior Court in January of 2020, following a reasonable cause finding by the commission, and the complainant elected to go to Superior Court. The alleged discrimination was refusal by a Yakima landlord to rent to complainant her minor children and the children's grandmother, because the landlord did not believe the house was suitable for young children. The court requires the parties to go to mediation prior to trial, and on March 10th of 2022, our Civil Rights Division was successful at mediation and resolved the matter with a consent decree, including all the injunctive terms that they required. And those included enjoining future discriminatory actions, training, and notices to current and prospective tenants. They also got $8,800 in damages for the family, and they've received the checks from the defendant in the beginning of April and have forwarded them on to the complainants. So they're just awaiting final entry of the ejective order by the court right now. So that case has basically been resolved. The second case is actually the case that Commissioner Spey had notified us of at the last meeting. It's Olympus Spa versus Ortiz. And this is a federal court lawsuit alleging that the commission's investigation of alleged gender identity discrimination violates the First Amendment rights of the business, its owners, and its employees. The Civil Rights Division is going to move to dismiss for jurisdictional reasons, including that there's no live controversy for the court to adjudicate, given that the spa entered into a voluntary settlement agreement to resolve the commission's investigation. They'll also defend the constitutionality of the Washington law against discrimination and its implementing regulations on the merits. Their motion to dismiss is due on May 12th, and the SPA's response is due June 9th. And the Civil Rights Division will have an opportunity to reply on June 23rd. The court, with their new judge, Lauren King, recently appointed by President Biden, could rule anytime after June 23rd. So that case is ongoing, and I'll make sure that we try to update you at significant milestones on that case at future meetings. So the other thing that I wanted to share was some information about recent legislation that passed in the last legislative session. This is House Bill 1329, and it had a number of updates to the Open Public Meetings Act, and I'm going to refer to that as OPMA. Essentially, this was a bill that was attempting to sort of solidify and confirm lessons learned during COVID and do some updates that the existing law for OPMA didn't really account for all of our technological advances and things we've been doing remotely. So it was going through the entire OPMA and it made a number of adjustments, but the general gist of it was to really think through how remote and remote access can help improve public participation and access to the government business. So there's a couple of things that I want to highlight. There were a couple of provisions that were considered emergency provisions that are immediately effective when the governor signed the bill on March 24th. And those things included a confirmation that normally there is a requirement for a physical location for all open public meetings so that the public can attend in person. There's a little bit of a caveat because we still have our COVID emergency proclamations in effect right now. And there is one in particular that is requiring remote OPMA meetings. But there were some amendments a little while back that allows in-person options. A lot of agencies are moving towards hybrid meetings now, even with that proclamation still in effect. As soon as that proclamation is not in effect, the physical location will be required. So I think we just want to make sure that we're thinking about that. I do not have a crystal ball, but I think there is people talking that the proclamations have been being lifted in other scenarios. So there's some expectation that that might be something coming in the near future. So just to be aware of and watch. Once those proclamations are lifted, the new changes basically give you an opportunity to have remote meetings. It confirms that you have that authority to do it in the future under other emergency situations. So it could be any emergency, earthquake, flood, any of those things. And it sets out a process where the agency would have to determine that you can't hold an in-person meeting because with reasonable safety. And you can either do a fully remote meeting or you could have a meeting where there's some limitations on public participation. It does require that if the commission members are remote, they need real-time verbal communications to be able to be counted as present and vote. That means they can talk and you can hear them. And that there's an option for the public to at least listen telephonically or for them to also have real-time access to the meeting at no additional cost. If you can't provide that public opportunity to be remotely participating, no action can be taken at those meetings that are done under that emergency provision. There's some quick updates on when you do remote meetings. There's notice cleanup of when you have to post, where you have to post, all of those things, and making sure that you include the instructions of how the public can have access to remote meetings. So there's a lot of detail in there, and at the time we would have to go through there and make sure we cross our T's and dot our I's. I think those are the things that are effective immediately. After June 9th, which is the non-emergency provisions, there's a long list of things that the bill is encouraging. They're not requirements, but they are encouraging that public agencies consider adopting procedures that basically give information to the public of what they would do for an emergency meeting. So just to transparency, so that the public knows what to expect. They are encouraging use of remote access for public comments to keep that positive that we learned during COVID. It did increase public participation in a lot of different arenas of government. So they're encouraging to continue that. They are encouraging public comment even when it's not required by the law. And they're encouraging hybrid meetings, including remote access, along with that in-person requirement that was confirmed. There's also some provisions around making online streaming available and putting recordings of meetings online on the agency websites for 6 months. Those are all encouragements. There's two other requirements to just mention. There is a quick provision that requires that you include the purpose of executive sessions in your minutes. So as an example today, Chair Cook, when we go into executive session, when you say which RCW executive session authority we're under, that would be included in the minutes, and that's a requirement. And then the last one is kind of a big change. Currently, before this was effective, public comment was not required at public meetings. But there is a fairly significant change, not a lot of words, but it makes a big difference that at any regular meeting, you must include public comment if you have a meeting with final action. They do create some options that can be oral public comment at the meeting, or you can have written comments submitted in advance and distributed to the governing body of the public agency. And there's also a provision that if there's an individual who has limitations for in-person attendance, so that could be someone with a disability, it could be a travel limitation. If feasible, the public agency should try to provide an opportunity for remote oral testimony if they request it. So those were the two big requirements that changed. So this is something Cheryl and I have had a conversation. If there is a desire to do some more in-depth training on OPMA or updates or refreshers, that it might be something to think about when there's a new executive director coming on. It would be a great opportunity. So I remain available for that if desired or requested. I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone has any, but that is concluding my update.
So as I heard you review those, I feel pretty good about our processes on most of them. And I agree that it would not be a bad idea at all when we do have our new executive director as part of our overall orientation. And we're also short one commissioner. So if we get all those things going and and as we begin to change our protocols to come back into more in-person activities, it probably would be good for us to review all of the process. But I am pretty pleased that I think that for the most part, as we've understood them, we've tried to meet the intent of these, and we'll just need to check, are we actually meeting all the specifics? But I'm confident that we can, and that it is very much part of our commitment to do so. So I'm really pleased with that.
Yeah, thank you.
And I really do agree that it was very needed, because we were all into a super wonder how to do this when especially when we first went into the pandemic, and we were concerned about, well, if the office is closed and we have to let people come into the office and use the phone and to participate in our meeting, how are we going to do that? So yeah, I totally appreciate that. Any questions from commissioners regarding any of this report?
None from me, Jim.
Okay. All right, we are to our period of public comment. We've always had public comment as part of our meeting, so that is not new for us. And how I would like to handle that is, if there are any members of the public who would like to comment, I'm going to invite them to do so at this time. I will ask you to identify yourself and make your comments. I'd like to keep the comments to 2 minutes each, and I will time you. And that doesn't sound like long, but it is actually long if you're prepared to talk about something. Also, I have to remind you that we are not able to discuss any individual cases. But if you have comments on other items, we will certainly hear those comments and be appreciative of those and take them into consideration. So at this time, is there anyone who does wish to make a public comment?
Yes, this is Michael.
Okay. Let's take the lady first.
Hello, this is Carolyn Nelson, and I am the handler of a service animal, and my case is, of course, an individual one, so it cannot be brought up in this meeting, but I am enjoying listening to the meeting, and golly, if there was a way from Everett to Olympia, I would sign up and be part of the staff. I am disabled from brain injury, and as well as I've become deaf. So, however, I'll turn it over to you and tell you that I really appreciate being here this morning. And thank you for the invite.
Well, thank you for coming. I think it's really good for people to come and learn what we do. And I appreciate your enthusiasm about that. So thank you for your participation. There was another individual who requested the floor. I believe it was a gentleman.
No, this is
Oh,
not
okay.
a gentleman. This
Okay,
is Marguerite Rashad.
there
Would
was
you
an
like me?
additional person, but go ahead,
Yes,
Marguerite.
there is one after me. Honorable Michael B. Fuller and Alex Zimmerman.
Okay, let's
We're,
just worry about you. Go ahead.
I'm not worried about me. I'm just saying to you that I am not a man and I'm ready to
Okay.
speak.
Okay, you were not the person that I was calling on, but I will call on you. So go ahead, please.
Oh, well, that's where the confusion is. Okay,
Go
I'm
ahead
calling
and
in
give
for
your testimony, please.
that's what that's what I am endeavoring to do.
Okay.
And I'm not liking the process about how things are supposed to be handled and how things are supposed to move forward from here on out. Okay. In other words, I'm an aged individual. I'm not in grade school somewhere. And so there's some things that I'm going to be moving forth on as far as the protocol and the personnel issues dealing with free speech. Now, I will mention the fact that Ms. Talley said that she would not be running again. And I was wondering if, I'm not going to say necessarily your group, but I think it's a human rights issue because she talked about discrimination and being disrespected and being in a toxic environment. And not only her, it was Mr. Johnson that's leaving and some other person out of Kent. She's a Native American. And I'm concerned about that because that's basically my whole life is fighting discrimination and racial issues concerning indigenous Black people here in the state of Washington and across the country too. And so I'm very much disenchanted at this point when anybody that I consider an indigenous person brings a statement like that over the television in particular or the radio about what's going on in Olympia and them feeling that they don't fit in, but yet and still they ran for office and they won the election. And then when they get up there, a bunch of piranhas and sharks and alligators are chewing them up and spitting them out. And I will not stand for that kind of treatment at all because we're all human beings. But I think like this, if you're not going to run things right, then you need to take down the sign because we have been through too much extreme measures going on across the country concerning indigenous Black people. And I think Mr. Johnson spoke out about police accountability. And so that's his right to do that. And some of them don't even like working amongst each other right now. And so, like I said, I'm just talking, trying to get my 2 minutes out of here. But I'm just really, really wondering what is the next move that we need to do as a group. I'm talking about indigenous Black people to make a stamp, and it will not happen again, ever in history, that we will not be ridiculed and demeaned and disapproved of. And after all the work that we've done to make it what you call equity and inclusion. So,
all right.
are you
Thank
ready
you
for
so
the
much.
next person?
Yes. Thank you very much. Who is next?
Yes,
Is there another individual? Yes, go ahead.
yes, this is Honorable Michael Fuller.
Mm-hmm.
I have a problem because I don't know who I'm dealing with. I'm looking at the organized crime and the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965 that was signed by President Lyndon Johnson, and the older American Act, July 14, 1965, that was signed by President Lyndon Johnson. As President Harry Truman stated, how many times does a person have to hit you over your head before you realize who's hitting you? Now, I can't be getting hit over the head after being in the coma 4 months and took 2 years to learn how to eat, talk, and walk again. Now, who are you? Black Lives Matter, but this is not the changes or the dream Black Lives Matter can believe in. You, Bruce Harrell, and the city council, organized crime, and the violation of 1962D, conspiracy, and deprivation of rights under color of law, and the violation of our First Amendment right, due process, equal protection of our 14th Amendment right, and procedure due process and substantive due process.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who
So
would
where
like
do
to
we
make a
go
comment?
from here?
Hi, my name is Alex Zimmerman. You
Yes.
hear me?
Yes.
So situation right now very simple. We all three have trespass from Seattle. I have 12 trespasses for 1,200 days. Peril have 4 trespasses for more than 6 months. Michael have 2 trespasses almost for 2 months, for 4 months. Yeah, situation very simple. We want to make to you complaint together. You know what it mean about this not legality, about broken U.S. Constitution, about Open Public Meeting Act, about everything. We want what is you accept as complaint like a group, what it include Marguerite Richard, Michael, and Alex Zimmerman. And I want what is you totally investigate this because it's by definition a crime. All trespass is absolutely not legal because everything what is we doing is only talking and they don't like what is we talking. Are you following me?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Hello?
Hello. Yes,
You follow me what is I talk to you. You follow me.
You.
Everybody listen to me.
We're listening to you.
Everybody listen to me?
Yes, we hear you. Please continue.
Okay, so we want what is you accept this like a complaint now. We complain now. This is a verbal complaint, but we will send you a letter about this. So I want what is you serious investigate this problem because it's go for many years, almost for 15 years. It's a nightmare. Thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you so much. Is there anyone else who would like to make a public comment? All right, I don't believe I hear anyone else. I do want to make sure that we do respond to everyone who is requesting. All right, so that completes the public comment. The commission will now move into executive session to continue the discussion of the qualifications of applicants for public employment, in particular the executive director position, pursuant to RCW 4230-110-1G. We anticipate the executive session will last about 15 minutes from the time we manage to get there, because we always have a little challenge with that. So I'm going to say that we will reconvene. Let's see, we're at 10, I think. Yeah, so I'm going to say that we will reconvene in the public meeting at 10:30, and I think that's going to give us more than enough time to get back and forth and have a few comments with each other about this. We will probably at that time take some further action. I'm not sure quite what it's going to be yet, but we will. So I would like to thank everyone. If you would like to return to the public meeting, that should be at 10:30. And I think we can manage to accommodate Commissioner Moore's need for scheduling in so doing. So please, this meeting is moving to executive session in the location that was sent out for that.